Welcome to Immigration Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: Federal government freezes immigration targets, plans for 500,000 permanent residents in 2026. Regina, Saskatoon school divisions see immigration-fueled enrollment spike. Quebec to welcome about 60,000 immigrants in 2024, impose French requirement for workers. Education agent accused in Indian student fraud takes the stand, they are blaming me to cover their mistakes. The far right is winning Europe's immigration debate. Federal government freezes immigration targets, plans for 500,000 permanent residents in 2026. The Globe and Mail. The Canadian government has announced plans to maintain its target of admitting 500,000 permanent residents annually until at least 2026. This follows a sharp drop in public support for immigration over the past year, as Canadians increasingly associate affordability and housing concerns with an influx of newcomers. However, Ottawa has also stated that it will take action to recalibrate the number of temporary resident admissions in order to ensure sustainability. The government also unveiled new Francophone immigration targets, which will represent 6% of total immigration in 2024, 7% in 2025, and 8% in 2026. Ottawa's new blueprint for immigration reform also includes a program encouraging newcomers to settle in small towns, Francophone communities, rural areas, and the North. The Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot Program will be extended to more small centres, including those with Francophone populations, and will allow local communities to play a role in recommending permanent residency for immigrants who have job offers. Regina, Saskatoon school divisions see immigration-fueled enrollment spike. CBC. School divisions in Saskatchewan, Canada are experiencing an increase in enrollment due to immigration. Regina Public Schools reported an increase of 864 students from September 2022, while Regina Catholic Schools saw an increase of 916 students. The Newcomer Welcome Center in Regina has already registered over 900 students this fall, the highest number in the last decade. Saskatoon Public Schools and Saskatoon Greater Catholic Schools also reported an increase in enrollment. Educators have called for more English as an additional language, EAL, teachers to meet the growing demand. The Saskatchewan Teachers Federation has requested more funding to hire additional EAL teachers. Quebec to welcome about 60,000 immigrants in 2024, impose French requirement for workers. The Toronto Star. Quebec Premier François Legault announced that the government's immigration target for 2024 will be about 50,000 newcomers, the same as this year. However, documents tabled in the legislature suggest that the actual number of immigrants admitted will be over 60,000. Legault wants to maintain the current threshold to protect the French language in the province. The documents also indicate that Quebec plans to accept up to 12,000 more immigrants per year, including graduates from French language university programs and individuals who have applied through a stream for investors, entrepreneurs, and self-employed workers. Education agent accused in Indian student fraud takes the stand, they are blaming me to cover their mistakes. The Toronto Star. Brajesh Mishra, an education agent accused of providing fake college admission letters to international students from India, claims he has been scapegoated. Mishra, who is being held in jail in British Columbia for immigration-related charges, stated that he did not know his accusers and did not understand why he was being singled out. He has been charged by the Canada Border Services Agency for offering immigration advice without a license, and with counseling a person to misrepresent or withhold information from authorities. The far right is winning Europe's immigration debate. Foreign policy. Mainstream European political parties are shifting their immigration policies in an attempt to counter the rise of the far right. The strategy is predicted to be self-defeating, however, and could further strengthen the radical right, according to an article in Foreign Policy. The study, published in 2017 by Cambridge University Press, examined 12 Western European nations and concluded that there was no support for the claim that accommodating radical right positions on immigration weakens the radical right electorally. Instead, voters often credit the far right with such positions and defect to those parties. The article suggests that mainstream parties should instead communicate better, sharing stories of the benefits of immigration. The far-right Alternative für Deutschland, AfD, performed well in recent German elections, whereas the Liberals and Greens, both coalition partners in the government, did not. The Christian Democratic Union, CDU, and the Christian Social Union, CSU, performed particularly well, however. Mayors of 5 big cities seek meeting with Biden on how to better manage migrants. Politico. Mayors of major U.S. cities are calling on President Joe Biden to provide federal aid to help manage a surge of migrants who are arriving with little to no support or resources from his administration. The Democrat leaders of Chicago, Denver, Houston, Los Angeles, and New York say that while they appreciate Biden's efforts so far, more needs to be done to ease the burden on their cities. In a letter seen by the Associated Press, the mayors claimed that migrants are sleeping in police station foyers in Chicago, while a cruise ship terminal has been turned into a shelter in New York. Canada will unveil new immigration targets today. Here's what we know so far. The Toronto Star. Canada's Immigration Minister, Mark Miller, is set to table the federal government's 2024 to 2026 immigration levels plan in Parliament. The government's current plan aims to bring in 465,000 new permanent residents this year, 485,000 in 2024, and 500,000 in 2025. The government has faced pressure to respond to concerns about raising the annual immigration target amid an affordable housing crisis and rising cost of living. Miller has stated that reducing immigrant intake is not a realistic option due to the need to maintain government services and benefits to support an aging population. At least 320 foreign passport holders cross from Gaza to Egypt. Reuters. On Wednesday, 320 foreign passport holders were evacuated from Gaza to Egypt. The evacuations are expected to continue in the coming days, with a first list of 500 foreigners or dual nationals having been cleared to leave Gaza. Is South Korea deliberately avoiding Thai tourists by sending them back? South China Morning Post. Thai Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin has promised to address the issue of Thai nationals frequently being denied entry into South Korea. Many Thais traveling to South Korea have recently reported being subjected to scrutiny and unfair treatment, with some being denied entry despite holding valid documents. The issue has prompted frustration on social media, with travelers venting their anger and disappointment. The South Korean immigration authorities have been accused of discrimination against Thai tourists. The Thai government has been called upon to find a solution to the problem of illegal workers to prevent further discrimination against legitimate tourists and to maintain ties between the two countries. Collapsing birth rates leave us reliant on foreigners. Telegraph. The UK must choose between economic growth, low immigration levels, and higher birth rates, according to a recent paper by Philip Pilkington and Paul Morland. The authors describe this choice as a demographic trilemma and argue that countries with low fertility rates have three options: to resign themselves to economic stagnation, to welcome mass migration, or to have more children. The paper suggests that a higher ratio of young people to old is necessary for strong economic growth, a healthy workforce to sustain public services, and families to care for aging parents or grandparents. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your favorite interdimensional observer, Dr. Hex. Today, I bring you some fascinating news from around the world. In Canada, the federal government has frozen its immigration targets to maintain the admission of 500,000 permanent residents annually until 2026. This decision comes in response to a drop in public support for immigration due to concerns about affordability and housing. However, the government also plans to recalibrate the number of temporary resident admissions to ensure sustainability. They have also introduced new francophone immigration targets and a program to encourage settlement in small towns and rural areas. Meanwhile, school divisions in Saskatchewan are experiencing an increase in enrollment due to immigration. Regina and Saskatoon schools have seen a significant spike in student numbers, leading to a demand for more English as an additional language teachers. Moving to Quebec, the government plans to welcome about 60,000 immigrants in 2024 and impose a French language requirement for workers. The aim is to protect the French language in the province while accepting more immigrants who have studied in French language university programs. On the topic of immigration fraud, an education agent accused of providing fake college admission letters to international students from India claims he has been scapegoated. Brajesh Mishra, who is currently in jail, denies any wrongdoing and believes he is being unfairly blamed for others' mistakes. In Europe, mainstream political parties are shifting their immigration policies to counter the rise of the far right. However, this strategy may actually be self-defeating, as studies have shown that accommodating radical right positions on immigration does not weaken their electoral support. Instead, voters often credit the far right with these positions and defect to those parties. Perhaps mainstream parties should focus on better communication and sharing stories of the benefits of immigration. In the United States, mayors of major cities are urging President Biden to provide federal aid to manage the surge of migrants arriving with little support. These Democrat leaders are calling for more resources to ease the burden on their cities. Lastly, a recent paper suggests that the UK is facing a demographic trilemma due to collapsing birth rates. The country must choose between economic growth, low immigration levels, or higher birth rates to address this issue. The authors argue that a higher ratio of young people to old is necessary for economic growth and a healthy workforce. And there you have it, folks. A whirlwind tour of immigration news from around the globe. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you make of these developments? Are there any questions you'd like to ask? Let's keep the discussion going. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.